of course, you for all that you're doing. I'm sorry we had to put you through a Pocono race, but you're a trooper.
Oh, you made me laugh there. Oh, fuck. Oh, it's alright. Derek Myers, the teammate of Gerald West. Oh, and the 98 of Jerry Glenn's just gone round. I think that was off the bumper of Logan Lansford. And that is going to give the advantage to Gerald West here on the outside line. But can they hold it? That is the question. Did they make their move too soon? Thomas Harmon sitting there just in behind them. He moves up. Derek blocks. He moves down. Derek blocks again. And we have contact. Derek Myers goes round. The win is going to Thomas Harmon. Thomas Harmon wins this race. P2 goes to Brian Harris. P3 to Logan Lansford. What an incredible... Oh, Sanchez has gone from an almighty flip. He got hit by the wall monster. That's where we see him flipping back onto his wheels. That was an incredible flip. Hello everyone and welcome. Once it loads, there it is. to the Worldwide Technology Raceway for the Sim Racer Hub 110 right here on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel for the Output Racing League. This is the final race of the regular season, and everything is looking pretty close right now. Thomas Harmon leading the way by 22 points over TJ Crampton, who is not here. James Watson sitting in third. We've got Chris Champeau in fourth. Jonathan Hernandez in fifth. Looking for the battle to get into the top 10. Corey Cook is holding it just over Frank Isaacson, or just under Frank Isaacson, but over Joe Slammer by 13. Jonas Marquez is in with a shout. He's 33 points back. So it's going to be interesting times here in the Output Racing League. Looks like the drivers are on track to do a pit party as everyone's trying to shuffle for position. And let's see how they go. Looks like it's going to be Chris Champeau with Travis Massia leading the way here for the pit party. Chris Champeau also number one in the time at the moment. He's got a 34.182, leading the way over Austin Collins and Thomas Harmon. Jonathan Hernandez fourth and James Watson sitting in fifth currently. And they're off and racing. Looks like that outside line with a little bit of an advantage there for Travis Massia. See if that sticks with him. You see Hernandez in the pack there, trying to make his way up the field. That 3 wide coming out of turn 4. This is not a very wide track, and it's an even harder pit road to get onto. You've got to use the access roads to get on and off of pit road. As in the background there, Carl Kraus making a big mistake going into turns of 1 and 2. Running up against the wall, that's not what you want to do around here. Hernandez 3 wide with Marquez and Collins. I had to think about who that other person was there for a minute, because I'm still not used to the Collins paint scheme. Oh, look at the close quarters there between Frank Isaacson and Thomas Harmon. Thomas tried to pinch him down into the corner. Frank wasn't having anything of it. See, Trading Paint's trying to make sure everyone's running the right paints as we get cracking here for the pit party. And Chris Champeau leading the way. Oh, and around has gone Massia. The 68. Andrew Griesbaum just holding on to the car. Once these things get the death wobbles, it's very hard to save them, and he somehow managed to do it. Oh, and Frank got the death wobble. There's no saving that. I think Pence Cup was caught up in that. So too was Striker. As I think I just cannot confirm. Yeah, we weren't meant to be doing this broadcast live, but we somehow finagled our way into it. Unfortunately, my partner has been a little bit ill, so we didn't end up going anywhere. See up there, that's Hernandez trying to make a move on Pizzakemi. As Chris Champeau is just absolutely pulled away from everyone. There's no one in his wake. That's how far ahead he is. Hernandez and Pizzakemi continue to go side by side. You got Thomas Harmon right there as well on his bum. Austin Collins just waiting in the wings for someone in front of him to make a mistake. Let's do an overview of where everyone's at the moment. So Chris Champeau is leading away, as I said, with a 34-182, sorry. Got Austin Collins in second, Thomas Harmon third, Jonathan Hernandez fourth, James Watson fifth so far. Travis Mascio is currently P6 with Kyle Kraus in seventh. Frank Isaacson sitting up there in eighth with Brian Pizzakemi ninth, and Corey Williamson holding on to the 10th spot. And it's Jonas Marquez holding on to 11th with Andrew Griesbaum 12th. Stryker is in 13th, Pentacup in 14th, and Corey Cook yet to set a time. So he's currently down in 15th. And we only have 15 cars currently registered for this race. This is the final race of the regular season. After this race is going to be the playoffs as Pizzakemi goes around. And we kick off the chase for the championship at Sonoma. There's Harmon getting into close quarters with Hernandez. There's only a few minutes left in practice here. About, 5.5 minutes? Just under. So everyone's got to try and get this track figured out as quickly as they can. And it's going to be a big battle of trying to balance out pace for qualifying versus pace for the race. Because that right front is definitely going to be screaming in pain, and if we don't get any cautions, then the drivers have to try and figure out how to take that entry ramp into the pits as well, which is one of the more difficult ways of entering the pit lane. As I said, Thomas Harmon currently leading the points for the regular season, and it's not looking like he's going to get headed anytime here soon. James Watson is 46 points behind Thomas Harmon. Because TJ Crampton's not here, he's not going to be jumping Thomas Harmon for the lead in the regular points. There he is, Thomas Harmon. And he's not looking too sharp here today, down in third in practice. Normally we see him in first. But Chris Champeau has all the pace here today. It's going to be very hard to beat Chris with the pace that he's got. We saw him pulling it away from the rest of the field there in the pit party. And I think that might be a sign of things to come. Because if you're fast around here, then you know, it's not really a track that people would consider their speciality. It's kind of like a much flatter and tighter version of Darlington with less banking. There is definitely banking there, but it's not really enough to hold the cars in the corners. And I went out and did a few laps, and locking up the brakes is a very real possibility around a track like this. That's if you're like me and you don't like playing around with the brake bias. As you see there, Jonas Marquez was attempting a pit entry, got it all kinds of wrong. There's now less than 2 minutes left in practice. Oh, and around goes Travis. He gave it too much jandle. Oh, and all the way to the inside fence. You won't want to be doing that in the race. He only had 5 laps on those tyres. Austin Collins, the man on screen, he's got 18 laps on his. And 2 for Thomas Harmon. So they're just trucking along nicely. There's 2 things you have to worry about here, and that's your rear tyres and your front right tyre. Because of how hard you got to accelerate out of these corners. You have to downshift for both sides of the track. But with less than a minute to go, we are going to go to a bit of a commercial break here. And when we come back, we will be seeing the results of qualifying. And then we'll kick off action here for the final race of the regular season from the Worldwide Technology Raceway. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Racing action will be coming up very shortly. Alrighty, we are back. Qualifying is complete here for the Sim Racer Hub 110 from the Worldwide Technology Raceway. And sitting on the pole is going to be the 38 car of Thomas Harmon. Staying on his outside in second will be the 39 of James Watson. And out of third will be the 92 of Chris Champeau. Fourth place will be the 68 of Andrew Griesbaum, with P5 the 42 of David Stryker. P6 will be the 7 of Kyle Kraus, with P8 the 61 of Corey Cook. P8 will be the 88 of Jonathan Hernandez. P9 the 13 of Travis Masia. And P10 will be the 24 of Frank Isaacson. We're going to have the 5 of Mark Pentecoff, the 98 of Austin Collins, Jonas Marquez in the 64 out of 13th, Brian Pizzicami out of 14th, and Corey Williamson in the 81, wrapping up the field in the 15th position. Now with the track length we're dealing with here, it will probably only be the one pace lap as the field starts to roll. 110 laps of this man-made hell. They reckon that Darlington is the track too tough to tame. I reckon this track is even tougher. And just a reminder, the first start is on green. And on the restarts, the leader will have lane choice, and the restarts are on the leader in the restart zone. And the only car that doesn't have to take the access road to get to the pits is the pace car. So here we go. The pace car is going to make the hard left turn into the pit lane on the concrete pad. And then we'll be set to race here for the final round of the regular season. Here for the Output Racing League Season 1 2023. And what an even start there between Harmon and Watson. There's a little bit of tire spin throughout the field, but look at Watson go on the outside line here. He went so deep trying to get clear of Harmon. Harmon now trying to fight back on the inside, but he's not going to get there. But we'll see what happens in 3 and 4. That'll be the big selling point, as looks like Watson broke a little bit earlier. But he's still hanging on to that quarter panel of Harmon. Harmon is now clear, and Harmon will lead the first lap, as Frank Isaacson just got a tap from behind there, and he's already into the fence. He keeps it up in the fence there to make sure no one else hits him. That is a big problem for him already, and already also the 13 of Travis Massier into defense. Both of them losing out on a crab ton of positions. We go back up to the front of the pack to Andrew Griesbaum there in 4th. And I think Frank might have actually gotten a tap there from the 61 of Corey Cook. I cannot confirm or deny this. I'm not completely sure. It's just what I think might have happened. Speaking of Griesbaum, he's now under attack from Stryker just behind him. Hernandez and Kraus are side by side as well. And they've all single filed out. And Chris Champeau has made his way into the lead. We didn't even see that coming. He's got the lead. He's going to be leading us out here as we come out of turn 2 for the 4th time. Looks like Hernandez also making some more moves out here in the back. He's gotten around Griesbaum, made his way up into P5. Gained 3 positions since the start. Lane 2 is Austin Collins and Jonas Marquez. Both Frank and Travis have made pit stops. And Frank is out of the pit lane. Travis, a little bit more damage on that 13 car. Both of them currently 2 laps down. And look at the gap that Chris Champeau is building right now. He's got a 1.5 second lead over Thomas Harmon already. He's only been in the lead for a couple of laps. On that last lap, he gained 0.3 of a second. The lap before, he gained a whole half a second. And this gap is just growing exponentially. .8 seconds was the gap at the line. Let's see if Chris Champeau can hold on to that pace, though. Because if we don't get a caution, then the field's going to come back to him very quickly. It's Frank Isaacson back into the pits once more. Obviously, all the damage did not get finished. Either that or he's gotten some kind of penalty. Striker trying to work over Hernandez after Hernandez got around him. That was for the 4th position. There's Isaacson coming back out onto the track. We're around about lap 55 that we should possibly see pit stops if people want to do the equal tyre strategy. Of course, cautions can change that a little bit. We saw Griesbaum get into the fence there a little bit coming out of turn 2. And the entire field has strung out as now both cars are back out of the pits. This is where tyre conservation is going to come into effect. There's Travis Massia. I just saw him stopped on the back straight. Not sure what happened to him. That was weird, but he towed back to the pits. So hopefully the Travis Massia car is okay. But still Chris Champeau leading away from Thomas Harmon, James Watson, Jonathan Hernandez and David Stryker as your top 5. Stryker is under immense pressure from Griesbaum. And that's also the closest thing we have to a battle on the track is between these two. As everyone else is just kind of all strung out. I think Griesbaum's been looking after his tyres a little bit, which is why he was able to close the gap up on Stryker. And just behind him, it looks like there's another little battle starting to form between Kraus, Cook and Collins. Oh, Griesbaum. What a run through the corner he had. Stryker ran a little bit wide and Griesbaum had so much mid-corner pace there. Just about drilled the back of Stryker. And I saw just behind these guys the Cookie Monster. Corey Cook all over the back of Kyle Kraus. Kraus got the little bit of the wobbles on. And will the Cookie Monster strike into turn 3? Yes, he will. Side by side they go. And the Cookie Monster is now up into P7. And it looks like Collins is going to try and fancy a move as well on the inside of Kraus. But that just dropped Kraus from 7th down to 9th. Let's go back up to these guys just in front of them. And Griesbaum trying to go for the move now into turn 3. The striker taking a very wide line. And that just facilitates Griesbaum getting through. He recognised that Griesbaum has more pace. Probably a little bit more tyre life as well. We're already 15 laps into this 110 lap race. Travis Massier still sitting in the pit lane. And I'm guessing after he came out of the pits, he had a bit of a death wobble going on. And that was all she wrote for that car. Griesbaum now all over the back of Hernandez. He's definitely got a lot of pace right now. And Striker is balling back to the Cookie Monster. And it looks like the Cookie Monster going to strike while the iron is hot. The Striker's up and move on Striker. Dunch. This is a fairly mean little 4-car pack. The Striker just pulling to the inside there a little bit, just trying to dissuade Collins from trying to make a move. Almost contact mid-corner there in 1 and 2, as Collins had a little bit more pace than Striker. And Striker actually going to try and make the move back on the Cookie Monster. Oh, he's gone in a bit deep. He had to check up a little bit extra just so he didn't get into the side of Cook. Drag race along the front straight. What's going to happen here in 1 and 2? And Cook holds on. Collins now fancies a move. He's trying to get to the outside of Striker, and he does get there. Striker without the best exit coming out of turn 2, compromised from taking the more inside line. And he's now dropped back to 8th. As very deep into the corner was Corey Cook that time. I did see Travis Massier came back out of the pits once more. Good to see him out there just to try and collect some points. Some points are better than no points. Let's set the camera to focus on crashes and see what we look at. There's Hernandez on screen for a brief moment as he's already being passed by Griesbaum, who's now trying to charge down James Watson. Striker trying to hold off the charge from Kyle Kraus. The inside he goes. Kraus couldn't get anything done there. Just checking on Hernandez here real quick. He's still in a little bit of no man's land. But Cook is very quickly catching up to him here. Checking on our leader. There he is. He's got a 2-second gap over Thomas Harmon. That gap's been staying fairly solid here for the last few. In fact, Thomas Harmon has just been inching his way forwards. About a 10th a lap, which isn't much in the grand scheme of things. Back to focusing on crashes. Here's the battle between Collins and Cook. Looks like Collins got the move around the outside of Cook to take over the 6th position. Now Collins is going to make the charge after Hernandez behind them. Striker and Kraus still battling away, and I think they've got Pizzacemi on the back for company now. Oh, as Cook got the death wobble going on coming out of turn 4. He saved it somehow. Incredible save. And his tyres will be absolutely stuffed. Now the camera doesn't know where to look. And I think we're going to watch the battle between Collins and Hernandez. Well, to the inside, Collins goes into turn 1. And he makes that move very easy. I think Hernandez ran that little bit wider just to facilitate the move. And now he's going to give him the bump draft along the back straight just about. These guys are going so slow in the corners, they could just about downshift into third. Oh, and I think something's happened to our leader. The gap has come down quite considerably. Not sure what lap it happened on, but Champo has just lost a boatload of time. It's only about a second gap now. It looks like the tyre's definitely starting to wear thin for Champo here. Oh, as Harmon getting into the fence there. I think it is time for us to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we will have more racing action here on the Output Racing on the Aussie Sim Commentator channel. So make sure you guys stay tuned. More of the Sim Racer Hub 110 coming up shortly. Welcome back to the Sim Racer Hub 110 here from the Worldwide Technology Raceway. And as you can see, the gap is just about nothing here between our leader and second place Champo and Harmon. Been a couple of movers and shakers throughout the field as well. David Striker's fallen down even more from Grace down to 9th. Pizzacemi and Kraus up to 7th and 8th respectively. Austin Collins, I just saw him pop up on my timing screen, just made his way into the 4th position around Grease Balm. These guys are going to have to start chasing down Watson here shortly, but we're going to keep an eye on this leading battle between Champo and Harmon. as Harmon has absolutely closed in this gap now. Last lap was a 36.4 for Champo to a 36.3 for Harmon. One of the hardest things for Harmon right now will be the fact that he's in the dirty air of Champo. Oh, has Champo got the wiggle coming out of turn 4? That's going to be an opening for Harmon. To the inside he goes in turn 1. The momentum is strong with the outside lane here in 1 and 2. Almost contact as Champo pinched down Harmon, takes the advantage. And we've got a caution on the track. It's for the 61 of the Cookie Monster himself, Corey Cook. Let's see what happened to him here. In turns 3 and 4, he's coming up on the back of Frank, but you can see he's already loose there. Loose on entry. That's not normal. Gets all the way down on the ripple strip. Just tickles the grass. You can see that car is fighting to go around on him. You see it there. The grip just said no. You are going around and you're going to enjoy it. Does the full lock up on the brakes to just control the car here. Does he make the fence? Oh, I tell you what. If he hit the fence, it was just a little kiss. That has brought out the first caution of the day. And everyone will be hitting the pit lane. Frank Isaacson will be getting the Lucky Dog wave around. And I'm pretty sure the 13 and Travis Massio is just going to go for a regular wave around. See everyone in the pit lane. Who's going to come out first? Is it going to be Champo or is it going to be Harmon? Champo beats him out. The current order going to be Champo, Harmon, Watson, Hernandez making up some spots on the pit lane. Griesbaum, Collins in P6, Kraus in 7th, Striker 8th, Marquez in 9th, and Mark Pentacup in P10. There's Striker. Then we're going to have Williamson, Pizzakemi, saw Corey Cook in there in 13th. Frank Isaacson is now 3 laps down. Massia 13 laps down. Now, as I said, the leader will have lane choice for this restart. And the green flag, well, will get the go on the leader in the restart zone. I think we're going to have one more lap around before we go green. Like the 98 of Austin Collins came in for some more fuel. This is very early compared to where we would normally pit for tyres and fuel. If anyone else does the sneaky and comes back down pit lane. Harmon's coming in. Harmon just gave up 2nd position. Come back down pit lane and get an extra top up. This changes everything. There's going to be Champo, Watson, Hernandez, Griesbaum, Marquez, Pentacuff, Williamson, and everyone else has pitted. So Harmon's going to come out in P8 here. As the lights are out, this is 1 to green. And what's more than that is I think everyone that's just coming out of the pit lane has to start behind Frank Isaacson. Interesting scenes here. As Chris Champo has chosen the outside lane, he controls the restart. James Watson on his inside. Pace car will make the hard left turn into the pit lane. We'll get in the restart zone. Chris Champo will go. There it is. We're off and racing.
Green flag.
Great jump there for Chris Champo, as to be expected. James Watson and Jonathan Hernandez also with great restarts there. And the one thing that's really going to help Champo out here is that he didn't have to go past anyone, take the lead. So he's going to be plain sailing here for a while, one would expect. Have a look deeper in the field. The battle going on here. Everyone's trying to get around Frank Isaacson. Striker was all over the rear bumper there of Harmon. And Striker actually going to go for the move on Harmon going into turns 1 and 2. Like Harmon just trying to take it very easy here. He's hoping for a long run by the looks of things. Looks like he's running wide intentionally. Although I don't know how intentional that really is. But Harmon being buried in the pack is really good. James Watson. Especially with how close to the lead James Watson is. Watson, who was one of the pace setters in the practice. And if Harmon's not going to the outside intentionally, I reckon the handle might have fallen off a little bit here for the 38 car already. He is losing positions like he was falling down the stairs. But no, my guess is he's taking it very easy, looking after his tyres, looking after his fuel. Go up and check on Mark Pentacuff and Corey Williamson. They got Jonas Marquez in between them. There's the second pack trying to catch up to these guys. A little bit of a gap formed with Frank Isaacson being in the middle of everyone. Travis Massey are hoping for a quick caution. Here goes Pentacuff now trying to make the move on Marquez. Goes to the inside. Can't quite get it done. Marquez on the outside was able to run just that little bit deeper. Go back to focusing on crashes. It puts us back on Thomas Harmon for some reason. It's David Striker in the 42. It looks like he's had some run-ins with the outside wall, as evidenced by the scrapings on the right side of his car. The Striker has been strikering the fence. There's a 7 of Kyle Kraus and the 78 Brian Pizzakemi. They are all over the tail of Striker right now. to the inside. Goes to 7. Can Kraus make the move stick? That'll be the ultimate question here. Side by side they go down the front straight. And Striker with the little bit of an advantage from that momentum on the outside line. Goes into the corner deep. But it looks like Kraus taking as much of an advantage as he can, but he just can't quite hold it down there and get the move made. The tyres are still good on that outside lane. Again, he tries to strike into turn 3, but Striker, wise to it, just diamonds off the corner a little bit there. And it looks like our leader is not having it all his own way either. He's getting super pressured by Jonathan Hernandez right now. Hernandez on that restart. Started from 3rd. Got around Watson, and he's just been putting all kinds of pressure on Champo right now. And it looks like these two are not really saving their stuff. They're hoping for another caution. And they're hoping for it pretty soon by the looks of things. As we are about 10 laps away from the halfway point in this race. And look at them go now, side by side, coming out of turn 4. Does Hernandez what was I calling him? Hernandez. I was going to say, does Hernandez have the legs to make the move stick into turns 1 and 2? He doesn't quite get there though. As Champo using the momentum of that outside line in the smaller corner to his advantage. Look at how deep Hernandez dives into turn 3. He wants this lead like a bad habit. As much as I want to check out what the rest of the field is doing, this battle is just too enthralling right now. Because Champo definitely has the advantage in 1 and 2. It looks like Hernandez has it in 3 and 4. Although Hernandez is starting to fall off, just can't quite hold a candle to the pace that Champo has. As Champo now starting to build this gap out, take full advantage of his situation. His Striker, he's still not caught up to Pentacuff yet. He's got Kraus and Pizzacchemi both on his tail. Harmon has slipped back to 11th. It's not good news for Harmon, but as I said, I'm pretty sure he's playing the long game here. He doesn't want any more cautions in this race. One person who definitely does want a caution is the 13 of Travis Amasia. He decided to get one of his laps back in the wave around. And he'll be hoping for a caution just so he can go and get some fresh tyres. There's the 7 of Kyle Kraus. He dives deep into turn 3, trying to catch up to the back of Striker here. He wants to put some panic into Striker while Striker is trying to catch up to Pentacuff. as the top four who have cleared out from the rest of the field have definitely strung out as well. Striker to the inside of Pentacuff. Pentacuff just didn't quite have the momentum run that we see other drivers have in the outside lane. And he's probably going to lose out on a couple more than just the one position. As Kraus gets underneath him and clears him. 22 does Pizzacami. Looks like Harmon's starting to let the lead out here a little bit. It looks like he's picked up the pace. Corey Williamson is enthralled in a battle with Marquez. It's just up in front of these guys. Pizzacami just losing touch here with Kyle Kraus a little bit. Looks like Marquez going for the move now on Williamson. While these two are battling side by side, the field behind them is catching. Masia has gone a lap down, well, an extra lap down. He's now 14 laps down once more. In fact, I think he might be in the pit lane. He is. Watson has gotten back around Hernandez. As these guys have caught up to Pentacuff and Marquez. Striker immediately strikes. He's gotten around Marquez. Now he's going to try and get around Williamson. Oh, there's a touch. There's only the slightest of touches. It was enough to make Williamson wobble. Marquez saw the wobble. He was like, nope. As we now pass our halfway mark. 55 laps down, 55 laps to go. Striker now gets into the front of this pack. He's now up to P5. As Marquez now fancies his move on Williamson. Goes to the inside line to try and take it. Like Williamson actually just tapped the wall a little bit coming out of turn 2. And here comes Harmon trying to make the move on Pizzacami. A little bit balked by Marquez though. Marquez didn't have the greatest runs there. 3 wide coming out of turn 4. And Pizzacami is the one who backed out of that. As Williamson just continues to slip down the order here. Fallen all the way back to the 11th position. In fact, made that 12th as Collins is going to get around him here too. Striker now trying to chase down Andrew Griesbaum, who is sitting in the 4th position. Got a lot of room to try and make up though. Griesbaum trying to catch up to Hernandez. Hernandez trying not to let Watson drive away. And here goes Griesbaum to the inside in turn 1. And Hernandez runs super wide to allow that move to be made. He knows he ain't got much to fight with. Looks like he's more of a short run car than he is a long run car. Striker definitely stretching his legs to pull away from Kraus here a little bit. Kraus hasn't really gotten rid of Marquez though. Just behind Marquez is Thomas Harmon, sitting up there in 8th. And he'll definitely be looking to move forward from there. For Harmon, nothing less than perfection will do. It looks like the handle started to fall off of Champo's car, so he's dropping back. Corey Cook, I just saw him pull out and behind Austin Collins. He might have gotten a wall coming out of turn 2 there a little bit. But the lead for Champo coming down 1.3 seconds. Here goes Harmon with the move on Marquez. And gets there. Marquez immediately fills the gap, tries to actually over-under on Harmon. Didn't quite get there though. And now it seems things have just calmed down a little bit. And I think Travis Massia has retired from the race. So he is our first and only retirement at the moment. Came in on his lap 40. Looks like Pisakemi going to go for the move on Marquez. That's going to be for the 8th position. That's if he can pull it off. And he does in 3 and 4. Looks like Griesbaum starting to pick up the pace a little bit in that front group as well. It's caught right up to the back of Watson and everyone catching up to Chris Champeau. But the gap is still 0.8 of a second between Champeau and Watson. Looking at the 7, Kyle Kraus, he's catching back up to Striker. Just behind Kraus is Harmon, who was absolutely pulled away from Pisakemi. And this is not what James Watson would have wanted to see. As he almost gets to the inside of Kraus. Kraus trying to take that slingshot line into turn 1, or out of turn 2, sorry. He's running a little bit higher on corner entry. Try and really maximize the corner exit. Just look at Kyle Kraus go. He's absolutely crowding the back of the 42 car. He's just trying to find a perfect moment to strike by the looks of things. He is all over the bumper of the striker car. As the gap to the lead has now fallen down to 0.4 of a second. Look at how high Kraus went there. I think that was a mistake. I don't think he meant to do that. He might have locked up the brake a little bit on corner entry. And he just lost a bucket load of time to Striker and to Harmon. Harmon's starting to fall off the pace again. He pushed his tyres too soon, I think. So the battle for the lead is starting to come into a little bit of a battle here. All over the tail of Chris Champeau is James Watson. What can Watson do here? He is within striking distance. And it looks like Champeau made a little mistake. He's run wide in turn 3. Makes him run super wide in 4. He had to lift so he didn't hit the fence. Watson now takes the race lead. And that is the pass for the lead made. Now let's see what Watson can do. He'll have to try and stretch his legs here. Pull away from Champeau. Champeau does have a lot of pace. And the tyres are fresh. Looks like another move being made now. Corey Cook getting around Marquez. I think Cook is a lap down. He is a lap down. So is Corey Williamson. Oh, they've both pitted. They've done some green flag stops. They're on much fresher tyres. But Pisakemi has been struggling with his connection to reality. I think what we're going to do, since we've got a new leader in town, is we're going to go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we will be running to the checkered flag. So make sure you guys stay tuned. More action from the Sim Racer Hub 110 will be coming up very shortly. Welcome back to the SimRacer Hub 110 here from the Worldwide Technology Raceway, and James Watson leading the way by 1.1 seconds over Chris Champeau. Let's get back in with the action. You can see it there now. It's 1.3 seconds actually, and Andrew Griesbaum has been catching up to Chris Champeau, and it looks like he's actually going to make the move for second here, coming through turns 3 and 4. So he joined back at just the right time. Griesbaum does take over the second position, and now he's probably going to start skipping away from Champeau here a little bit, as Champeau's tyres are probably off the cliff. Go back through the pack and see what's going on through here. As Thomas Harmon, as he's got Corey Williamson on his fresher tyres coming through. Got Striker and Kraus still embroiled in a big old battle. And they've kind of reached stalemate status, although I just saw in the background there, Jonas Marquez got the death wobbles going. And he somehow held on to it. Williamson just trying to carve his way through these guys as fast as he can without getting too much in the way. I think it's already too late for that, as what was a close battle between Striker and Kraus has become anything but. Although it looks like they're going to resume hostilities here, just with the added tension of Harmon being right on the tail of Kraus. Champeau, still, not Champeau, Kraus, still all over the tail of Striker. Trying to look for any way around him he can get, especially now since we're starting to get into the final 30 laps. Kraus running that little bit wider into the corner again, cutting down on exit, trying to slingshot as Striker starts to lose his grip on reality. Experimenting with alternate dimensions. Oh, and here goes Harmon. He's gotten to the inside of Kraus ever so slightly. Kraus really needs to make the move on Striker and needs to make it shortly, or else Harmon is going to have him for breakfast. Striker now employing that slingshot line through turns 3 and 4. Death wobbles on there for Kraus very momentarily. Words are hard and I don't know how to speak. Now Harmon, he won't wait for an invitation the second time round. He's made his intention perfectly clear to Kraus. He intends to make an overtake. If Kraus won't facilitate that, then Kraus needs to get a wriggle on and get around Striker. Striker actually getting a little bit loose coming out of turn 4 that time. See by the way the car reacted when he came off the corner. Kraus gets a lot of speed there that time coming off the turn 2. To the inside, he goes a Striker this time. Striker braked as deep as he dared. Kraus, this time, is going to get the move made. Or at least they're going to be side by side. Oh, and he spun him. He's just absolutely turned him. Go back and have another look at that. Here they are off turn 4. Now, does Striker come down? No, it's Kyle coming up. It's absolutely Kyle coming up. Oh, that's unfortunate. I know Kyle probably didn't mean to do that. Not one who goes out with malicious intent to try and make accidents happen. But fact of the matter is that one was probably his fault. That's brought out the caution, second caution of the race, with just 26 laps to go. And I should be expecting everyone to come into the pit lane once more. Mark Pentacuff will be the lucky dog wave around. And I'm going to see if we can get Striker on the line, but it looks like he's not in the Discord, so we can't pull him in. So let's see the race off pit road. And it is going to be Watson, Griesbaum, Champo. Then Kraus in fourth. Hernandez has lost out on a couple positions in the pits by the looks of things. Pizzakemi in fifth. Interesting, interesting. Williamson and Isaacson both coming into the pits. Although if I was Williamson, I probably would have stayed out. So let's get an order in order. It's going to be Watson, Griesbaum, Champo, Kraus, Pizzakemi, Hernandez, Harmon, Collins, Marquez, Cook as your top 10. And Striker and Pentacuff in 11th and 12th. That's going to wrap up your lead lap cars. You'll have Corey Williamson 1 lap down. Frank Isaacson multiple upon multiple laps down. And unfortunately, Travis Massia a DNF. Alright, so it looks like James Watson has every intention of restarting this race in the outside lane. Means Griesbaum will be starting on the inside with Chris Champo. We should get the 1 to green signal this time by. And it seems the catalyst for these cautions coming out is us going to a commercial break. As well, we're not going to go to another one. But here we go now. We're going to get the restart with 22 laps to go. James Watson leading away from Griesbaum. Kyle Kraus actually restarting from a very good position here. But here we go. The pace car is going to make the hard left-hand turn for hopefully the last time. Into the restart zone and we're off and racing.
Green flag.
Great jump there for Watson. Pretty good jump there for Kraus as well. Griesbaum not getting the best of starts. And it looks like the 92 Champeau was kind of caught in the middle of 3 wide there for a second. With the 88 and the 78, that's Hernandez and Pizzacchemi. But all Champeau will be trying to do now is trying to get back to the lead. That caution would have also helped out Thomas Harmon there a little bit. As here goes Champeau now, he's making the move on Griesbaum. And no one should be holding back with it being so close to the end of this race. Everyone should be going full out, trying to get whatever position they can. Hernandez giving a big bump draft to Champeau going into turn 3. Both of them trying to desperately get around Griesbaum. That promoted Champeau up into 3rd. Hernandez trying his hardest to get back into 4th. Can't quite get there just yet though. There's Thomas Harmon. Lots of contact on that turn 2 wall as everyone's overdriving a little bit in the outside lane. Harmon to the inside of Collins. And Stryker is still in this race too. He's down in 10th. Harmon and Collins trying to go 3 wide around Griesbaum. Didn't quite work out as Collins fell back. Harmon just couldn't quite have enough momentum to get the move to stick. Sort of the 92 of Chris Champeau trying to make the move for 2nd. And he did. Just saw the start of that move. We didn't see the end result until we saw it was already passed and cleared. Now with just 17 and a half laps to go, it's all on Chris Champeau to try and get around James Watson. As Thomas Harmon takes advantage of Griesbaum running super wide in 3 and 4 that time, makes his way back up into 5th. Frank Isaacson in the pits. Something must have happened there to the 24 car. Now, it is just 16 laps to go. 16 laps for Champeau to try and retake the lead. 16 laps Watson has to try and hold him off for. 16 laps for Harmon to try and do something from the 5th position. Kraus diving deep into turn 3. He wants to try and get that 2nd place back. He doesn't want to have the first interview. There's definitely close, intense racing here for our top 4. As there goes Kraus once again, just trying to send it up the inside of Champeau. Couldn't get there again. I think at this point, he's mostly just trying to force Champeau into making a mistake. It looks like Champeau is mostly just focused forward. He's got his eyes on the prize. Campo is concerning himself more with Watson than he is with Kraus. "13 laps to go now. On Champo tries to do the diamond. Got a little bit loose there trying to do it though. Just slightly ruined his momentum. That goes super wide into turn 3. Diamond's right down hard onto that inside curb. But Watson, unfazed. And we've got a safety car on the track. See, it's the 61. Corey Cook once more. Back this up and see what happened to the Cookie Monster. This time he's in a 3-way battle. I think that's Griezmann in front of him. Collins behind. Oh, and he just gets too much onto the inside curb. He might have even tapped the grass there a little bit. Oh, Pizzacchemi also going super sideways. But Pizzacchemi was able to actually save it. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, whammo. Oh, that is unfortunate. And there was David Stryker there. 42 was... Oh, that's unfortunate. But that's going to be damage on both the 42 and the 61 cars. As some more pit stops underway, more fresh tyres going onto some cars. James Watson decided to stay out, so did Kyle Kraus and Corey Cook. Thomas Harmon, the first car to stop. And he's going to come out in 4th. Now, if I were Watson, and I would want to make things hard for Harmon, I would probably choose the inside lane here. There's less than 10 laps to go when we get the green flag. And if he chooses the inside, then he's going to have a car behind him and a car on his outside. And, you know, Thomas Harmon doesn't have lane choice. He's going to be stuck on that outside lane. So he's going to have to get around 1, maybe 2 cars before he even has a chance of getting to Watson. We just got the 10 to go now. The lights are still on the pace car. So we'll get the green flag with maybe 8 laps to go. Let's have a look at your top 10. It's Watson, Kraus, Cook, Harmon, Collins, Griezbaum, Stryker, who somehow is still going, Champo, Hernandez, and Pizzacchemi in P10. And I tell you what, Watson might be listening to the broadcast, or he's got someone watching the broadcast, because by all appearances, it looks like he's going to be taking the inside line here. There it is. 1 to green. And Watson is picking the inside. He's trying to make things hard for Harmon here. And we will get the green flag with just 8 laps to go. But now our top 3 have made their choice. They can't pit from here. If they do, they're going to be behind literally everyone. I don't think anyone who's on the track is a lap down. All right, here we go. Hopefully for the final time, pace car is going to make that hard left turn into the pit lane. Now, when will Watson go?
Go, go, go. Green flag.
And he gets a good jump. There's a big amount of tire spin there from Griesbaum. Harmon almost dove straight to the inside of Kraus. Kraus blocked it off. Didn't want him to have anything of it. But Watson doing everything that he needs to do right now to try and take home this win. To the inside of Kraus goes Harmon. And he slides up the track slightly. Now there's nothing separating Watson and Harmon. Here comes the 92 as well, Chris Champeau. He has been the pace setter all day. He still holds the fastest lap of the race. But he's still struggling to try and get around Kraus. There's not that much difference in tyres. There's about 14 laps difference. But sometimes 14 laps can be all the difference that's needed. As we now just have 6 laps to go. Oh, big slide for the 92, and he collects Harmon. The safety car is out. That was a huge send from Chris Champeau, and he took out Thomas Harmon doing it. And I think he's going to retake his position in second. All right, let's go back and have a look at that, because that was crazy. See, he is miles back from Harmon and Watson. Miles back. And the car just kicks around on him. It looked like he initially missed his braking marker. Car kicked around, and he's just ever so slightly tapped the left rear of Harmon. Sent Harmon all the way around. In fact, gave him a double tap just to be sure. Harmon just making sure he didn't bring it back down and run into anyone else. And that's going to put Harmon at the back of the pack. Now the tactics are all out of the window for Watson, because he's going to have Champeau right on his tail. It's going to be very hard to beat Champeau. I think his only option is going to have to be start on the outside, because then he'll only have to fight Champeau. He wouldn't have to fight anyone else, because behind him in second row will be Kraus and Griesbaum. They're both on older tyres as well. And I think we're going to a green-white checker here as well, so that's going to be even more in Watson's favour here, if he chooses the outside. This has become so exciting that I let my cigarette go out. How about that? I know, at the back of this pack, Thomas Harmon will be absolutely fuming about that. And I will take this time to remind the broadcast that the protest system does exist. So we could see something come out from the end of this, maybe not. It won't be immediately after the race that we see a result of such, but we'll wait and see. It looks like Watson's playing his cards very close to his chest right now. He hasn't officially picked a lane. It's looking like he's going to be going bottom lane, no? Yeah, I think that's pretty definitive there. He's running along that green dotted line on the inside, so that's the inside lane for him. And I do believe this will officially be our first attempt at a green-white checkered finish. Because once we finish this lap, we will start lap 109. And we're not going to have a one-lap dash. We'll always have 2 laps. So it will be our first attempt at a green-white checkered finish. Alright, the lights are out on the pace car for hopefully the final time. We will have to wait and see on that though. The leader is on older tyres. The second row is on older tyres. The fastest car in a race is restarting outside pole. This is what it all going to boil down to. Now, what kind of a restart is James Watson going to get here? How early or how late in the restart box is he going to go? I'm on the absolute edge of my seat right now, just waiting in anticipation. Pace car pulls in. We go for attempt number 1 at a green-white checkered finish.
Go, go, go. Green flag.
James with a big restart there. Griesbaum once again spun the tyres. Kraus with a great restart. There's pandemonium in the background. Got another caution out. And, oh no, Thomas Harmon caught up in another incident. Now let's slow this down and see what happened. Now Harmon's forcing the 3 wide here on the restart. Oh, the contact actually started with Collins in front. Collins gets into Striker. Striker gets into the fence. Thomas just moves down to try and clear himself of the accident and runs over Marquez in the process. Look at the double wheelies. The double wheelies were sick. I dare say Striker is out of this race. The entire back half of the field is heavily involved in this. There's a lot of damage in a lot of these cars. Harmon is still circulating on the track. But Striker is in the pits, Corey Williamson in the pits. Both of them with probably race-ending damage. And now this is probably going to be the hardest restart for Watson. I see Austin Collins is in the pits. The top 10 have remained on the track. So it's going to be Watson, Champeau, Kraus, Hernandez, Pizzakemi, Griesbaum, Pantercuff, Williamson, Harmon, and Cook as your top 10. Got Austin Collins in 11th. And as I said, he is in the pit lane. Oh, it looks like Harmon and Cook are going to come into the pits, get some of their repairs fixed. Marquez, Striker and Marquez both in the pits. They're both 2 laps down. Got Isaacson, who has been in the pits for a while. He's 23 laps down. Travis Massey is still the only official retiree from this race. I think Collins might be in for required repairs. But he's now gone a lap down. Harmon getting a set of left side tyres on it. Getting a set of lefts and getting some repairs done. Collins makes his way back out onto the track. He's 1 lap down. He will be the only car to finish 1 lap down, so he will officially be 11th no matter what. Here comes Corey Cook back out onto the track. He will be restarting from 9th. Keeping an eye on Harmon here. Because that could have been race-ending damage for Harmon. And he's not moving. Oh, there he goes, last minute. So he is still in this race. He'll be restarting 10th. The lights are out on the pace car. And this will be the final time the pace car goes in for a caution. A second attempt at a green-white checkered finish here for the Sim. I just completely blanked for a second then. I'm half tired. Didn't get a great sleep. Sim Racer Hub 110 here from the Worldwide Technology Raceway. All right, here we go. Thomas Harmon's still a fair way back off the back of the pack. The pace car is in. And Watson's only hope here is to get the earliest jump he possibly can. And he's off and racing. He did get a tiny little bit of wheel spin there, but he is clean and clear into the lead. Champeau side by side with Kraus, but Champeau with the fresher tyres absolutely sends it around the outside. And he gets clear and into second. Now let's see if he can chase down the leader, James Watson, in the lap and a half that's left in this race. It's one thing to catch him, it's another thing to pass him. There's the 88, Jonathan Hernandez as well. He's up 5 positions from where he started. And he is in third. It's white flag, last lap, last chance to win or wear it. And here comes the move from Chris Champeau into turns 1 and 2 on the final lap. Watson's going to go as deep as he dares, trying to hold on to it. But Champeau also went as deep as he possibly could. There's contact coming out of turn 2. They're side by side still. And where's Hernandez going to go? He doesn't go anywhere. See Champeau trying to wash up the track a little bit, trying to push Watson out wide, coming out of turn 4. The win is going to go to the 92 of Chris Champeau, the dominant car on the day. Second place goes to James Watson. Third to Jonathan Hernandez. And these are unofficial results. We'll see how things shake out later on. But for the moment, Chris Champeau is the winner of this race. As I said, James Watson so very close, coming home in second. And Jonathan Hernandez coming home in third. Kyle Kraus came home fourth, and Brian Pizzakemi coming home in P5. Now we'll get some victory donuts out here for Chris Champeau. Oh, and he's binned it. But with that, we will now go to a commercial break. When we come back, we will have driver interviews. So make sure you guys stay tuned. All right, guys, it is now time for driver interviews. And as always, we're kicking things off with the Autism Awareness Hard Charger Award. And today's Hard Charger Award winner is our third place getter, the 88 of Mr. Jonathan Hernandez. Jonathan, um, you're making a habit out of this, coming home as hard charger and on the podium. And, it's never a bad thing to see, especially now as we're starting to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you to Frank and Autism Awareness for the hard charger sponsorship. Yeah, I don't want to make it a habit, but I mean, these past few weeks, I mean, these tracks are terrible for me. I mean, qualified ninth, I think it was here tonight, but I was 5/10 off pole. But yeah, we worked our way through it, the whole race, and we had to make minor changes throughout the race because I was not getting the hang of the track. The first what seemed like 20 laps or so. I just felt like I was pushing too hard, but we made minor changes inside the car to help balance it out, and like it felt rest of the race. I felt a whole different car. Um, so I think that's what helped maintain um, the momentum we had here for tonight. And like you said, I mean, momentum going into playoffs starting next week. So Sonoma, another track I'm not that good at. So people will probably put money down. I'm gonna get another hard charger there, but yeah, it was a solid effort overall, and at third place, it can't be wrong with that.
Now let's look at the race, from the racing perspective. Um, the first half race was pretty smooth sailing, just like last week, surprisingly enough. But we did have that one caution Did that one caution that we have very early just kind of make you a little bit unsure about how the strategy was going to play out for the rest of this race, considering how difficult of a track this is to drive?
Yeah, that one caution early on really changed how the momentum of the race was going. As you saw, everyone, or a handful of people, when it topped off, it literally came down to a fuel mileage after that, and nobody knew if we were going to make it to the end without another caution. So of course, you get everyone's pulling out all the stops to try and save. I even went as far as starting to coast at the start finish, turning off the car and leaving it coasting all the way to about the exit of two, just so I could save as much fuel without losing as much time. Um, but I think that's what flipped the whole race around. And of course, once we had the late caution, it just seemed like last week it wouldn't. All the cautions would not stop coming.
Yeah, well, we definitely got quite a few of them, including those two green-white checkered attempts. What was it like for you just trying to work your way up through the field with all those late cautions, especially considering with the two green-white checkers, especially that there was those few cars that didn't pit.
Yeah, it was, hard to tell. You know, and before I forget, congratulations, Chris. Me and Chris were the first two off pit road with 10 to go. That took four tires. Of course, like I said, we had, I think it was three cars that stayed out, and then a handful that took two. So I think that was going to set up to how that end of the race was going to go, and in the end, I think it worked out for me and Chris. Of course, a little, I guess you could say, a little controversy between Chris and Thomas, but of course we saw it last week too between Thomas and Austin. So um, I just, I think the first green white triggered, I don't think we would have had a shot. But the second one, with how close we were to James, I think that's what gave us the opportunity. If I had a little bit more drive off the corners, I think I would have had a shot to go battle and make it three wide possibly. But I just, you know, I couldn't do anything. Maybe an extra lap or two of them side by side, but um, yeah, just like they always say, eight tires are better than four. In this case, I think it proved it.
All right, now let's look forward to next week. We are going to be going to Sonoma, California. You said it's not one of your strongest tracks, but what's the rest of the feeling like with it being the last road course of the season?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting, especially with it also being the first race of the playoffs. I think we're gonna see a lot more conservative racing. It's just that track's difficult, as it is enough. And I think we're running back to the original cup layout, not without the carousel. I'm about to double check the schedule, but um, with that, I think it's going to be interesting. And also, depending on when the season update comes out, if it's next Tuesday and to make any changes to the car, I think it'll pick it up even more. So the goal for next week would be just try to survive, get a decent finish out of there because my best shot is at Rockingham and I think Nashville after that. So um, just next week's all about surviving, and then the last two races of the playoffs is all about attack. And you know, I don't want to say I want to put anybody out of the way next week, but we're gonna have 10 drivers fighting for four spots, I believe. I think the anticipation is going to ramp up, and I think we're going to see a lot more harder racing than we saw tonight.
All right, Jonathan, before we let you go here tonight, mate, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, of course. First off, as always, we got to give a shout out to the output guys, Jaron, Brian, you, everyone, Drivers Council, and of course you also broadcasting over here at Aussie Sim Commentator. Um, got to thank my team at Triad Racing. All our sponsors on stantanalyzer.com, Chevy Accessories, Susan Media, RPM Motorsports, and on the car we have Cincinnati and also Encompassed by Cincinnati. Uh, we had a little patriotic scheme. Of course, Memorial Day was yesterday, so we got to roll it out the way I like this scheme. So we might run next week. And of course, I got to thank a huge thanks to my family. Of course, family is always a big part, and my girlfriend too for her endless support on this. I know she's just as excited as I am whenever I have a good finish. So Thanks to everybody, and we'll roll on to next week. Hopefully, have a good run. Hopefully, have another conversation with you. Um, if it's not hard charger, hopefully podium, but we'll see. But yeah, thank you to everybody.
All right, Jonathan, thank you for coming out. Congratulations on coming home with P3 and the Hard Charger Award. And thank you for taking up twice the amount of time that you normally would being a Hard Charger and a podium getter. And we look forward to seeing you again next week when we do tackle the first race of the playoffs.
Yes, thank you, Corey. Yeah, we're gonna aim for the high number interviews.
Hey, if you get a win, just promise me you'll take up all the interview time that we possibly have, okay?
We're gonna have to start a output racing after dark interview with Jonathan Hernandez.
All right, anyway, thank you, Jonathan, and we'll see you next week.
All right, Corey, thank you.
All right, guys, that was our third place getter and our Autism Awareness Hard Charger Award winner, the 88 of Mr. Jonathan Hernandez. And it's always great to talk to Jonathan. He always has more to say than he needs to. Coming up next, we're going to have the man who was so close but so far away, but we're still glad that he was in with the chance of the fight, considering the pit strategy, of course. It is our second place getter, Mr. James Watson. James, it came down to those two green white checkers. If it wasn't for them, you probably would have been walking out of here with the first place trophy.
Yeah, I just can't catch a break, man. I don't know what I got to do to win one of these things again. It's just like that that caution with like 30 to go is where I lost it. Like I was 2 second lead, good on gas, just cruising, and yeah, go figure. We have how many low caution races? The one time I need that to continue, and it doesn't. I don't know what I got to do.
Now let's talk about the race as a whole. It was definitely a similar race to last week as far as how the cautions fell. Besides that one really early caution, what was it like for you? Because I noticed that you weren't exactly up towards the front for the most part of the race, but you were still in with a fighting chance throughout the longer runs.
Yeah, well, the first run, I don't know what was going on with me. The first run, like I was not focused at all. Like I just kept daydreaming, missing, just airmailing my braking markers. Yeah, just absolutely killing the tires. I got a little more focused after that first caution and was able to be up there. And then I realized because at first I was kind of pushing uh, because I didn't really think we'd be able to save fuel. And I look, I'm like, oh hey, I actually can't save fuel. I'm like, I hope I didn't do this too late. And I just started lifting and coasting, and not only was I saving fuel, I was actually like being competitive and was able to pass Chris and get uh get a good gap. So I'm like, holy crap! I'm like, and then the caution came out, and my heart just absolutely sunk.
All right, now let's look at those final three or four cautions that we got. A bit of a wild race here to end off things for the regular season, and you played the pit strategy to almost perfection there, as you came out with the lead, and you had Kraus and Griesbaum there with you, sticking it out on the slightly older tires. What was it like trying to plan your restarts there, especially for those green white checkers?
Yeah, what I was trying to do was because like I knew whoever started behind me was gonna get a pretty big jump on second place. So I was trying to figure out where to line up with those that had not as fresher tires to help kind of get them get them ahead or keep them ahead of the guys with fresher tires. And like I was getting like a really good jumps off the line, so that's why I thought I wasn't I was doing that, what putting myself at risk of taking the non-preferred line, but I was c- content with how good of a jump I was getting, that I'd be able to get back up in front by the time we got into turn one. And thankfully, I nailed the restarts. I didn't choke this one like I did Monza, but yeah, it still hurts.
All right, now let's look forward towards next week then. We kick off the playoffs and we're going to be going to the road course of Sonoma. What's the feeling like for you as we head into wine country?
Yeah, that's the motherland right there. Like I grew up at that place. I grew up 40 minutes away. Went to NASCAR every year. I had been alive before I moved away. I raced karts there. Yeah, some of my best and worst memories are at that place. So whenever I see Sonoma on the schedule, it's always personal, you know. So yeah, extra bit of nerves and stress because the wanting to perform in front of the home crowd, so to speak. I'm normally pretty solid at road courses. Plus the fact that it's the first race of the playoffs, so yeah, no pressure at all whatsoever. It's all good, chill.
All right, now before we let you go here tonight, James, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yes, sir. Got to thank Team Watson Racing Setups. Use code WATSPIN39 for 10% off checkout. Got to thank Martin Sports Sim Racing Apparel. Chris Graham and the National Racing Network for always sticking with me. ZS Designs for doing my paint schemes. And simsearch.com, your #1 sim racing marketplace.
All right, James, thank you very much for coming out. Congratulations on coming home P2, although it should have almost certainly have been a win. We look forward to seeing what you can do next week when we go to Sonoma.
Here's hoping.
All right,
Cheers.
guys. That was our second place getter, the one, the only, the 39 of James Beyblade Watspin. Coming up next, we're going to have tonight's winner, albeit a little bit controversially, but we still love him nonetheless. Of course, tonight's winner is the 92 of Mr. Chris Champeau. Chris, a wild race out there tonight, man. An early caution to throw a spanner into the works, and then it kind of divulged into last week's second half. What was it like for you out there on the track tonight?
Well, uh, it was an interesting race. Did not expect a caution as we got a caution. Wasn't expecting a whole lot of cautions at all, honestly. And race went from like a good normal output race to fuel saving back to hardcore. Let's see how fast we can go from P whatever 4 something to 1, and then just caution after caution. So it wasn't your typical output race, I don't think. And happy we got the W, but not happy that we did so by killing Thomas in the process. But
I mean, I'm sure you guys would have hashed it out in the voice channel after the race, but you were the pace setter for this entire race meeting. You're fastest in practice. You're right up there in qualifying, and you capped it off with having the fastest lap to boot, a 34.119. So you definitely had the pace to back up the finishing position there.
yeah, I made a couple adjustments in practice trying to get the setup where I was feeling happy about it, and took a bit of a swing. And on the first run, actually, in practice, there was like no fall off and it didn't get tight at all. And then that first run, I think I pushed it a little too hard and wore the front right out. So from there, I kind of was a little more conservative, and then the car never really got tight after that. So definitely figured out a setup that worked really well for my race. But yeah, we got out there pretty quick in the beginning, and then uh, I was a little worried about not having the fast lap in qualifying. I overdrove turn 2, I think, or turn 1 or whatever, and went a little high, so we were a little slow there. But uh, we were able to get in the lead right away and just kind of putting laps down. And I kind of started dilly dallying and not realizing that Thomas was catching me. So then the caution came out, so it didn't really matter. But overall, good race. I think at the end there, a bunch of guys took 2 tires, there was, I think, 3 stayed out. Wasn't really sure how that was going to go, and I think Corey maybe spun his tires on the restart, which allowed us to get like 4 right away, which I think was a huge help. I think if that doesn't happen, we'll probably would have been stuck a little bit further back for the end there, and then kind of accidentally took Thomas out, but we were able to stay in P2, and you know, Watson was on a little bit older tires, and there wasn't much he could do. He gave it a good shot. Honestly, I was surprised how long he was able to stay with me on the outside there. Um, but the rears just kind of wear off. You can't put the foot down as easily as quickly once you get going, and then even on the inside, you're able to pull away.
All right, now let's look forward to Nords next week, the first race of the playoffs. And we're going to be going to the wine country of Sonoma. What's it feeling like for you as we head into the playoffs?
Well, I wish we were going somewhere other than Sonoma, anywhere but Sonoma. I do not do well at Sonoma. I absolutely hate Sonoma. But we'll put something together. I think this car is a little bit more manageable than some of the other NASCAR cars on road courses. So if I can maybe throw a few slight modifications to the setup in there and try to figure out something that works for me, and if I can get around there pretty quick, then we might have a shot. But we'll see. Not particularly great at Sonoma, so we'll as long as we can keep it within reason, maybe get a top 10, top 5 out of it. We'll go into the rest of the playoffs looking pretty good.
All right, Chris, before we let you go here tonight, mate, anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to Thomas. I think it could have easily been him sitting here doing this interview. He had 2 right sides. If I don't take him out, I don't know if I could have got around him, and he probably could have got around Watson. And shout out to Watson. He had a quick car. If the fuel saving race would have worked, he would have won this race for sure, because he was quite a bit quicker while saving fuel, and I kind of hesitated saving fuel. Spent about maybe 20 laps not saving fuel, and then by the time I realized I needed to, it was a little too late, and he was able to get around me. So easily could have been either one of those guys' race. So big shout out to those guys. They put together a good race themselves.
All right, Chris, thank you very much for coming out tonight, man. And we look forward to seeing what you can do next week when we kick off the playoffs in Sonoma.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, guys, that was tonight's winner, the 92 of Mr. Chris Champeau. And that is going to end things for us here tonight as well. Thank you all for coming out. And thank you too for the raid on Twitch from Big Hickory. Very muchly appreciated. Came in with a 25-person raid. But until next week, I've been your commentator, the Aussie Sim commentator. We'll see you guys in Sonoma.